And we are live. Another Monday, another live stream by Moses Square Podcast crew. I am Lauren Moses here with my brother, Desmond Moses.
What it do? We
And
here.
we
We back.
have, yeah, we're here. We're back with y'all. We didn't take our usual weekly break. We coming right back with you.
Yeah.
Today we have to start by, obviously we want to check in. So let's do that. I'm really excited to start off today. But Des, how you feeling today? It's Monday. I had a
Um,
wild one. How was yours?
I'm feeling blessed. It's been a good week. Um, uh, as you know, we had a conversation with. We're gonna kind of keep it under wraps for now, but we had a very motivating conversation. Some upcoming things.
Yeah.
Just know we cooking, y'all. We
Yeah.
don't like to put the cart in front of the horse, but we cooking.
Yeah. Moral of the story is don't get too comfortable.
No.
And then just take advantage of the opportunities that are presented. So that is definitely what I think the most exciting part of my Monday was. So yeah, let's get into it because this month is Women's History Month. We had Black
Mhm.
History Month this last February, Women's History Month this month, and a woman that I have to give a shout out to is Tamara Walcott.
Yeah.
She's a power lifter. She is a black woman, and she set a world record today or yesterday, actually. I believe it was yesterday,
Okay.
lifting 641 pounds for a deadlift.
Yeah. That's impressive. I'm a pretty strong fella. I got a chance to play in the National Football League. I don't know if I've ever
Yeah.
power lifted, deadlifted any of those amounts. So shout out to her because that's a
Yeah.
that's a real number right there.
Yeah, and obviously what she does for a living is weightlifting, powerlifting. But if you guys go check out her social media, she is presenting a really good message as well. Obviously there are stereotypes of what these women and even men look like in this profession.
Hmm.
However, she is a plus size woman, and she wears that proudly, and she advocates for other plus size women of being able to use your strength for advantage. So
Yeah,
kudos to her. Congratulations to her. This was at the 2022 Arnold Sports Festival out in Columbus. And yeah, she
I,
is in
I
the
just like
world
to say,
record book forever.
you know, Women's History Month. When we talk about a strong black woman, she
She
she is
embodies
it. She's the
it.
definition of.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I had her Instagram name so I could plug her in. Because she's doing great stuff over on her social media as well. I mean, it is amazing.
Yeah.
The on the other side, there's some news that hit the news cycle earlier this week. This I guess last week. Now that it's Monday.
Yeah.
Brittany Griner, WNBA champion, WNBA All Star, Phoenix Mercury teammate or team member, USA athlete. She's done it all on the women's basketball side of it. She's played at the highest of high levels. And news recently broke that she was arrested in February um, at the airport, I believe, in Moscow, Russia, where she plays overseas during the
Hmm.
off season. She was arrested for having you have those like
Cartridges.
yeah,
Yeah.
pen, like little oil
Hash
pens.
oil. Yeah.
And so it had
Marijuana.
cannabis in it.
THC.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. So it had cannabis in it in Russia. This
Hmm.
is an illegal narcotic. So she was arrested in February. We just found out about it, this past weekend, end of last week. Um, and it's just not looking too good right now. I mean,
Yeah. The
obviously,
timing.
yeah, I was gonna say everyone knows what's going on with Russia right now, and so the timing of it definitely doesn't help. Um, Everybody's wishing her a safe return home. I think first and foremost, free Brittany Griner.
Yeah.
But it is a very sad situation, especially if you follow her teammates, follow the woman WNBA league, and just see all of them rallying and really trying to get her home safely is of utmost important. But
Yeah. The timing
uh,
right now on it is pretty is tough because obviously the U.S. is not involved in the war directly, but indirectly they are. And
mhm.
whenever there's a war going on, obviously there's pawns, there's pieces that'll be utilized. It's a chess game, and there was a disagreement over protecting the airspace and who was coming to help. Would the USA be involved?
Yeah.
Obviously, Russia doesn't want Ukraine to have any sort of backup,
Mhm.
um, but we hope that. Brittany Griner and for her family that she's not used as a political ploy
Yeah.
or pawn in this instant, and that she can um, make her way safely back home, back to the U.S. But it brings me to another point, and I'm thinking about this because I read her resume. We're talking about one of the all-time most accomplished women in the game of basketball.
Mhm.
She's won a national championship in college, a WNBA championship,
Yep.
uh, a EuroLeague championship. Uh, I mean, the list goes on. Gold medal, Olympic gold medalist.
Mhm.
The fact that she has to go over in the off season and play the game of basketball, has to go away from the U.S., away from her family, in order to play the game of basketball to earn the amount of money that she rightfully deserves, obviously being the talent that she is.
Yeah.
What do you think about this? And we've talked about it in the sacrifices that these young ladies have to make in order to really make the dollars that they deserve.
Mhm.
But now it's put her life in risk.
Yeah, that's that's another conversation that's happening now on social media. And when you look at it, obviously it's been going on for a very long time. My coach in college played over 10 years, over almost 15 years overseas. And one of the biggest things is your safety, right?
Yeah,
Because you're out there, you don't really have U.S. protection, and you're on
right.
your own. You don't have family, you don't have friends. And you might be the only American on the team. And so, situations like the situation that Brittany Griner's in, not necessarily her being arrested, but her being in a place that is having political unrest, has happened
Hmm.
before. I want to say a couple years ago, it happened in Turkey. And I saw some players that I played against in the ACC. She had went to Syracuse, who was stuck out there as well. And
Wow.
and like you said, they're put in these situations because the league that says they have the best athletes in the world, right? They have
Right.
the best, not even female, best athletes, period, in the world. Um, but they can't figure out a way to pay them what they deserve.
Right.
So they go overseas. Diana Taurasi played overseas in Russia for years,
Yes, she did,
and
and made 1.5 million
million exactly, and
a
and
year while she did it.
Brittany Griner's making a million out there. Mind
Yeah,
you, the highest paid contract here is what? 100,
200.
100. Okay, I was gonna
I
say,
think Brittany Griner was scheduled to make 228,000
okay,
this year
yeah,
based on reports. So, and she's certainly near the top, but that's a
mm-hmm,
fraction of what she's making over there
yeah,
and what the market pays over there. I mean, it's ridiculous.
yeah,
But that's a conversation for another day. Obviously, we're hoping and praying for her safety. One of the all-time greats in the game of women's basketball and in basketball in general.
yep.
That's
So
interesting, though.
yeah,
Speaking of basketball, and I'm kind of throwing this in there, Lauren. I looked at an article today. I'm sure you
mm-hmm,
saw it. This was a clip saw around the world. Jawan Howard, again another awesome basketball player, a part of the Fab Five, came
mm-hmm.
back to his alma mater as a head coach. Had a little scuffle,
Oh
a little
yeah, a
scuffle.
little riff.
It was a little altercation,
Yeah.
let's say, with a Wisconsin head coach during um, the post game handshaking line. This is
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be a time of show sportsmanship. Uh, Jawan Howard himself reported that the gentleman touched him. Um, I don't know if you saw this footage,
Mm-hmm.
but I
I
want to
did.
get your feedback, and we won't hit too long on this, but I want to get your
Yeah.
feedback because a lot of people had a lot of different opinions. Obviously, I'm here in the Midwest. The opinions were largely one-sided,
Yeah.
saying that Jawan Howard was wrong.
Yeah.
What do you think? I'll give my 2 cents after.
Yeah. No, I think first and foremost is that, keep your hands to yourself.
Right,
We learned that in kindergarten, preschool,
right.
right? I think that the the interaction that I saw that led up to him actually making contact with the assistant coach
Hmm.
was that he was trying to avoid a situation to begin with in the line. I don't think I didn't watch the game, but when I went back and looked, he was pretty upset about a call that or a timeout that the
Right,
Wisconsin coach had made, and so he wanted to avoid it because he was obviously still heated,
for
right?
sure.
Coach, Wisconsin coach wasn't taking it. He wanted to address it right then and there, and he attempted to stop him from walking past, right? And so he
Right.
did make contact in that way.
That's what I say.
Again, that's what I say is hands to yourself, right? Because
Right.
if we don't stop, if we don't try to make a intervene there and not allow him to just walk by, things could have
Hmm.
been different. Could have, who knows?
For sure. For sure.
Um, Second is Juwan Howard then starts vocalizing his frustrations, whatever that might have sounded like.
Hmm.
And other people got involved, coaches got involved, and I think the tension started to just rise in that little
Quickly.
circle of people. Words, who knows what was said really, but at the end of the day, Juwan Howard did mush, slap, some type of open hand contact to the assistant coach who had no, I don't know what he said, right? Because the assistant coach could
Hmm.
have said something, but had
For
no,
sure.
did not touch Juwan Howard first.
Right.
So Juwan Howard has been suspended, or was suspended, and you learn from your lessons. I don't hold anything against him. Don't think he should be fired for anything like that. It's a heated situation. Um, but moving
Yeah.
forward, keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah. Tonight is his return. That's why this is one of the headlines
Mm-hmm.
on ESPN. And I feel very similarly. Obviously, in the Midwest, it's easy to say, "Oh, Jawan Howard's a monster. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's always get him out of there." But again, like you said, we're talking about men, grown men. Um, you know, we know the background of Jawan Howard. These guys were some of the toughest trendsetters. City guys. Some of those things are ingrained, and I think he was trying to set a
Mm-hmm.
barrier, one in which he wanted to walk by. He didn't have the right temperament or patience at the very moment to speak to
Mm-hmm.
the Wisconsin coach, and still, Wisconsin coach wanted to stop him.
Yeah.
He felt it was the time.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, not a good time to put his hands on this man. Luckily and thankfully that things didn't escalate and go even further. But um, playing devil's advocate, I think Jawan has to show some restraint. A,
Mm-hmm.
because his players, these are guys he recruited. He went in people's homes and sat and, um, you know, expressed that he's going to be the leader and
Yeah.
show these young men how to behave. And you saw once he reacted, his team, it
Also
went into
reacted. Yeah.
street mode, and it was full protection. It was essentially a green light, and
Yeah.
things could have been really, really bad, but thank God it weren't. Um,
Yeah.
Sticky situation.
Very sticky.
I'm glad that Michigan didn't overreact. I think
Mm-hmm.
the suspension was deserved,
Yeah.
and he's making his return tonight. So
Yeah.
we'll see how that happens. Maybe this could be a spark for them, um, but
Doesn't
for both
it?
sides.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, they both kind of need it. But
Yeah,
moving on
yeah.
to the Pac-12, a school that is ringing bells on the women's basketball side.
Hmm.
Stanford women's basketball just won back-to-back Pac-12 championships, and they are hoping to make a return back to the Final Four, back to the championship title for women's
Yes,
basketball. In the same light that they are dealing with a loss. Um, their soccer star, she was a goalie. Her name's Katie Myers. Passed away recently and by death of suicide. And another instance where we talked about on this podcast, on this live stream before, of young people leaving too soon, and parents having to bury their children. You never want that to happen. And just in the response of that, I think a lot of conversation has come up about. So one, I do want to first take an honor to her, because she is a national champion as well. 2019 national championship won with her team. But two, it's brought up the conversation of student athletes. They deal with so much, and you always hear, at least I
hmm
always hear now that I'm in my 20s, is like the 20s is a time to have fun. Don't stress about the little things. These things aren't going to matter in your 30s, your 40s. She was 22 years old. However, I
right.
think as athletes, we're told that to not stress, but I mean, there's a lot of stressors as a college
Pressure.
student athlete, a lot of pressure. And that is what her parents said in their response on national TV this last weekend, or this past weekend, is that there were no red flags, but she had a lot on her plate. She was the
Yeah,
star soccer player. She was the goalie. She's a senior. A lot to kind of unload, kind of, because after the fall, you're
yeah.
your graduation
Well, Lauren,
basically.
I think that you and even myself, what we've gone through as collegiate athletes, student athletes, we talk about the pressure, right? The responsibility.
Hmm.
And a lot of people just don't understand it. They think, oh, these folks are privileged. They got the meal plans and the dorms, but it's like this is a full-time job and not only a seasonal deal, it's
Hmm.
year round. The training continues into the off season.
Yep.
A lot of these athletes don't get to go home to their families. They don't get to go home during the holidays. They
Mm-hmm.
don't get the support. They are forced into an environment where they have to not only perform academically, but athletically at a very high level.
Yep.
And people's adults, their coaches, the universities, the ADs, their jobs and success depend on it.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately for this young lady, and it's a shame because I'm sure there are a lot of other young athletes around the country that are feeling this. What are some things? What are some checkpoints that these athletes can take when they start to feel these type of pressures as an athlete, as a student?
And you know what? I'm going to actually split this because I do think that the onus needs to come on the support system. That is
Right.
what coaches that is what, the sports psychologists at these programs, that's what the AD even, that's what the trainer, there needs to be some onus on them, not to say, oh, it's their fault that there's all this pressure. But a lot of times we hear, you get to come to practice, or you
Right.
get to do this, or you get, like, you should always
It's
be
a
so
privilege.
grateful for. Yes, it's a privilege. You're grateful to be in this situation, which we are. However, there has to be a balance of checking in. And I
Hmm.
don't mean, hey, how you do today? How was your Monday today? How was classes? No, I mean checking in, sitting down, one-on-one meetings. How's your family? What's going on? That was one thing I was extremely thankful to have at Virginia, was a head
Hmm.
coach that cared about me, Lauren Moses, as a person, not as the athlete, not as number 21.
Right.
And so I think the the coaches, administration, staff, support system at these programs need to start
Hmm.
taking a deeper look of how they can prioritize their athletes' mental health. As an athlete, I do think that expressing and being able, finding at least one person to communicate that with, and then if it's a teammate, if it's a roommate, if it's, I don't know, it could be Joe and Sally on campus. When you hear that information, depending on how important that it is, it's like having a conversation like, hey, can I help? Can I get you some help? Can I be the one
Hmm.
to kind of facilitate that if you don't feel like you're in a space to do that right now? I think we need our circles need to get a little bit tighter. And I think it's easier with the
Yeah.
access of social media these days for us to kind of just like, oh, she's having a bad day. We're all having bad days. Like, let's actually start checking in, and caring about the other person on the other side of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And my own experience, even at the University of Iowa, there were people that checked on us, but it wasn't very personal. Obviously, with a football team, you have a lot more athletes and a
Mhm.
lot more guys. And even professionally, I got to
Mhm.
play for two different organizations, Green Bay and Kansas City. And, there were times in Kansas City where I, dealt with depression. And it was like, man, I almost didn't feel uh, right complaining about it or
Mm.
expressing it because again a lot of the feedback or sentiment of people that I would like, bro, you in the lead, bro, you living the dream, bro, you
And we
got the
got to get
cheese,
out
you
of
got
that.
the
We got to get out of that.
it's greater than that. We are
Yeah.
human, and friendships matters, relationship matters. I had to sever some great friendships leaving Green Bay all in one day.
Yeah.
So all that being said, even professionally we have 14 doctors, no team
Mhm.
psychiatrist, no
Yeah.
team therapist. And it's
Mhm.
like, why is it? Is it
Mhm.
just about the physical? I think we need to take another glimpse at it and
It's a
challenge
business.
these teams.
Both of it, collegiate
Yeah,
athletics and professional. I mean, it is a business, and so mental health isn't their first priority. And
yeah,
and I'm not saying that it necessarily needs to be their first priority, but it needs to be a priority,
for sure.
because these athletes, if we haven't heard it enough, since 2020, really, is that they are struggling, and they have been struggling. It wasn't just the pandemic that put
Yeah,
this pressure on these athletes. It's what allowed them to reflect on some of the things that they're dealing with internally. Um, but that's not the reason. And so moving forward, I think that all of
yeah,
these institutions, especially these Power Five schools, they have more resources. I will say, I won't say they have all the resources, but they have more resources than a mid-level school would. But to touch on professionally, you talked about, the differences, and you talked about in our meeting this morning,
yes,
the differences between Packers and Packers and Chiefs, and your time with both of them, and how one was more
yeah,
ran like a business, like this is
for
business,
sure.
business, business, not like, oh, who's the best player, who performed their butt off today in practice.
Yeah,
So we talk about Green Bay and what's kind of going on over there with Aaron Rodgers,
hmm,
Devontae Adams, and kind of the unspoken package deal that they may be. Nobody's in the heads of these two guys, but there's a lot of
Right.
talks of, especially their GM said, one doesn't dictate the other. When I'm pretty sure I heard Aaron Rodgers say that, he wants to play with Devontae
Yeah.
Adams. What's your response to everything that's going on? We're waiting for a decision, I guess, from Aaron Rodgers at this point. And as the news and media, it's kind of blowing up rather than just
hmm
kind of waiting and seeing what he has to say.
Well, having played with Aaron Rodgers and knowing the type of guy he is, I have a ton of respect for him. One thing I know about him is you're not going to rush him. You're not going to rush his process.
Yeah,
He's going to go on vacation. You know, this is
yeah,
his superstar girlfriend. Take his time. He's probably on a beach playing some music,
yeah.
becoming
He
one
actually
with himself.
officiated a wedding. He officiated his
Is
his
right.
offensive lineman's wedding.
He's doing his own thing, living his
Yeah.
absolute best life, and it's one of the things that I love about him. He's able to detach from the game and decompress. Before he makes these decisions that are major decisions. Obviously, the
Yeah.
organization wants to know sooner than later
Yeah.
for their own interest, but he's one of the best to ever put on a pair of cleats, to ever throw a football.
Hmm.
And um, he and Devontae Adams, again, are a great package deal. I don't know that they'll be able to speed him up. The money and all of that stuff, it matters because it's a respect thing, but this is going on for a long time. And one of his greatest riffs with Green Bay was the fact that he just didn't have enough weapons.
Hmm.
Um, we're talking about one of the elite passers in the NFL. Just, let's think about this. When I was there my rookie year, we had James Jones, we had Donald Driver, we had Randall Cobb in his prime, we had Jermichael Finley at tight end. Um, it was other white kid from K State. He's slipping my mind. Jordy Nelson. I
Hmm.
mean, we're talking about Greg Jennings, a receiving core, guys, number ones, and his job was so much easier. Um, it gets difficult. You have to work a lot harder when you don't have these weapons, and Devontae's getting double and triple coverage. It's hard and it's stressful. He's like, I'm getting too old for this. Y'all give me
Yeah.
some weapons or I'm out.
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line.
Well, I heard Lil Wayne. He was on podcast with what's the podcast name? I Am Athlete,
Okay.
and
That's one of my favorites.
yeah, that's mine too. And he was asked. Brandon Marshall asked him, you're close with Rogers. What is
Yeah.
he thinking about, or what do you think, at least as a friend, knowing him personally, what do you think he's going to do? Because everybody keeps talking about if he's going to retire soon. Is he going to play a year, 2 years in Green Bay and then switch it up? Like, what's going on? And he's like, I think he'll stay. I think he'll stay. So if Lil Wayne thinks he'll stay, I'm gonna say that he's gonna stay.
Green Bay certainly hopes Lil Wayne is right.
All right.
Green and yellow, green and yellow.
Moving on to another team with history, especially for me, University of Virginia women's basketball team.
Yes.
They were, I won't say the team, but the program, the athletic department has fired their head coach, Tina Thompson,
Mm,
who is a WNBA GOAT. She was the first player drafted ever to the WNBA in 1997. And she's been at UVA for 3 seasons, 4 seasons. I know she had one more year left in her contract. She was the head coach, 4 seasons. She was the head
mhm.
coach right after I left.
Right.
My coach, Joanne Boyle, retired. So, yeah, she was fired. And, a lot of people have been asking me, my reactions to it. It comes down to production. I think,
Yeah.
I call games for them this year, the past 3 years, really, since she's been there. I've been calling games, and I really have been able to just see I guess the lack of progress from year to year. And
hmm
so, as a fan, as a alum, I myself was, somewhat concerned, and I just think it's a culture change. Whenever there's a head coach coming in, there's a huge change of culture. Girls have to get on board, and they have to kind of forget what they're used to, and get on board or get lost. And in her first year, a lot of players did transfer,
hmm
and it just wasn't. Maybe it wasn't the best fit. Who knows? But at the end of the day, she's a black woman, and she was coaching at the University of Virginia, which is
Yeah.
amazing. She didn't have the best record, but I think it's not going to be the last place that she ends up at all. She knows the game of basketball at the highest of high levels,
Yeah.
and I think she will bounce back. And I think Virginia women's basketball will too. They've got a great, amazing athletic director in Carla Williams. So I think that she will put them in the best situation moving forward. But
Well,
for
I certainly hope this isn't the end because
yeah,
I'm aging myself, but I grew up watching Tina Thompson, and we're talking about a straight baller. A lady that could get it done. She played with Hall of Famers all the way across the board.
yep.
Um, Cheryl Swoops and these girls. I'm talking about real killers. Real ones. They put the ponytails up.
She
They
put
get the
her
hooping.
lipstick on and
Put that
everything.
lipstick on.
Yeah.
Get the hooping. Don't play about it.
Yeah.
And we see coaches go certain places and fail to have success or not quite meet the goals that they wanted to get to or hit.
Hmm.
But also we've seen across the men's game where there's stages and there's growth periods for
Yep.
not only the teams, not only the players, but the coaches as well. So she's learning what works for her, what won't work for her, and we really hope she gets another opportunity again. What she's done for the game of basketball, women's basketball, um,
Yeah.
undoubtedly she deserves another one. So
Yeah.
shout out to her.
Yeah.
It didn't work out there, but my
Yeah.
gut tells me she'll get plenty more opportunities to show it and help some young women or young men
Hmm.
grow in the game of basketball.
Yeah, and the biggest thing I will say, just from communicating with her over the past 4 years, is that the competitor is still in her. So
Yeah,
she herself, I can't see her, stopping here or even, giving up is not in her vocabulary. But I think that was probably the biggest aspect of the game that the girls played with was that whether they were winning or losing, they were competing.
yeah.
And that was fun to watch, especially as an alum, for sure.
well, ask my guys that I play with at 12 o'clock noon ball. The competitor never dies.
Never. But last up, wrapping up here, there was something, a few things that you wanted to get to.
Yeah, yeah. There was NBA. Let's talk NBA real quick.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's talk NBA. We could just take a moment.
yeah. Mhm,
I feel like the guards are changing. We saw LeBron go out and get 56.
mhm.
We saw young Jason Tatum go out and get 54.
Yep.
Who's your top five right now? Who you got?
I got Braun.
Okay.
Duh. I got Curry. I got young, and Curry's not playing good right now. You're talking about best players in the league right now, or best like what is this specific question
Right now.
right
Right
now?
now. If you had to build a team, I'm talking about top
Oh,
five guys
build a
right now.
team. Okay, I didn't pick players to build a team.
No, 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 no. I'm saying if you had to build a team around them, who are the top five guys you would start with? Not, it doesn't have to be by
Okay,
position,
position. Okay.
just top five
Okay, so
across the board right now.
Giannis, LeBron, Curry, Ja. That fifth spot is hard because I got
You
two
putting Ja
people.
in the top five already?
Yes, who's stopping Ja?
Ain't
Ja
nobody
this
stopping Ja.
season.
Ain't nobody stopping Ja.
Exactly. And we're talking about currently, this season, 2021, 2022 NBA season. Ja
Ain't
has
nobody
to be
stopping
in there.
Ja.
I'm sorry. It's for me. And then I got KD because how can you leave KD out? However, I really want Kyrie in there, but I can't say
KD,
but Kyrie can't play in New York.
look. I want to put KD in there too, but how KD going to let Jason Tatum go for 50 for
KD,
the
that's
other
true.
night and
KD
not
don't play
even
defense
damn
though.
up?
Yeah, KD don't play defense. That's
Come on,
true.
Durantula.
Yeah.
Come
All right, then who
on.
you got? Who you got? I want to know this five right here. I'm hoping you choose offense and defense since you want to get all specific.
Yeah. I'm starting off with the king. Let's not even play. LeBron
Okay.
James, this man at the age of 37.
As long as we can agree there, honestly, it don't matter.
Hey Ron,
Yeah.
I'm putting Joel Embiid in there. 7 foot
I knew you
killer.
were gonna do that.
Joel Embiid. I'm talking about this man got all the moves. He talking to hard now. He got step backs. He's 7'3".
That's fine. He's not. I don't need him on my team.
He's 7'3". We're gonna beat y'all just with that. I'm getting all the killers. Obviously, Stephen Curry, he's in a class of his own. The performance he put on in the All-Star game and night in, night out, people say that he's stoppable, right? Because of his size, but I'll have to beg to differ. With his quickness and handling, what he does, his range, his in the gym range, out of the
Mhm.
gym range. The boy's out of this world.
Yeah.
He's in the top three as well. Um, I'm gonna go ahead and put my boy Jason Tatum in there. He's young. He's young. A lot of people might say this is a little early, but I think that literally even in this past 4 weeks,
Okay.
hey, just remember that. You might say it's a little too.
I
Just
know,
remember
especially how
that.
you jumped on me about Ja. I'm like, wait a second. Tatum had
Hey,
a
just
54-point night, and then it's like, no, I do agree. I think he will
hey,
go down as one of the greats for sure.
yeah,
He's just not on my
yeah.
squad.
He's not. He ain't make your squad.
No, he ain't make my squad.
And then I'm going Kyrie. I'm
No,
going by
Giannis?
Ree. I'm going by Ree. I'm going by
Oh,
Ree.
okay.
Slash Giannis. Actually, I forgot about young
I was
Giannis.
gonna
I got to
say
slash Giannis. You know why? Because Giannis
Kyrie
is one of
can't
my
play in New York, so.
yeah, yeah. So he's a part time. He off the bench. Let's just put him off the bench if he's not in New York. But I'm gonna say why those two guys. Honestly, Giannis, his production and the way that he's improved his game. I'm watching him in warm up. This guy has developed a mid range jumper that
Yeah,
is reliable, off the dribble, you know, pulling up in rhythm.
yeah.
To do that from one season right into the next. There's guys that take that's Ben Simmons. You can't just go buy a jumper. You know what
Oh
I'm
my
saying?
gosh, yeah.
This fella has worked hours, countless hours to develop his game while continuing to be that elite athlete and bring that energy night in and night out.
Yeah,
And then Kyrie, because he really just like that.
yeah.
He really just like this man was, sat out half the year, had to
Mhm.
train with guys who weren't NBA guys. Ben Simmons, who wasn't hurt, he's still trying to get back into shape.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Whatever. So we're gonna end it there. We're gonna end it there with that whatever. But no, that's a good five, I guess. But no, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will of course be back. Make sure you follow us on our social media handles in the description below. Make sure you guys subscribe as well to our YouTube channel because we're getting some views. We're getting some more views than before. But I need
Yeah.
that subscribe. Let's
Just
go.
subscribe. Tell your
Yeah.
mama and them subscribe. And your auntie. Tell her check us out. Let's
All
get
of
it.
them. Tell the whole family. As Des said in the beginning, we're working. We want
Yeah.
more. We want more for this. We want to continue to expand. We want to continue to interact with you guys. So the more you guys interact with us, the more consistent and better we will become. So thank you
Yeah.
guys again.
Hey, and tap into the comments. If it's something y'all want to talk about, y'all something y'all
Yeah.
want us to talk about,
Yeah.
a couple questions, y'all. We'll fool with y'all.
For
Hit us
sure.
up. We
For
got you.
sure. All
How's the
right. Well,
square
yes.
podcast? We
Yeah. Let's
live,
get
baby.
it. Peace.